Hi there and welcome to Lorena's Labyrinth. Today I do hope that you're having a wonderful day. I'm actually recording this video early on the Saturday in preparation for publishing on the Sunday, just to give you the thumbs up. Before I get into today's video though, I'm going to try and keep it short. I've got a few things that I need to be doing, so I just want to update you and also share a couple of stories with you, which I'll try and keep brief because I could really go down a rabbit warren. But if you're new to the channel, I say thank you very much for joining us. If you like the content, do feel free to subscribe to the channel and certainly do a like if you like the content. Of course, no obligations. And the more comments that you put, the more I'm able to respond. And if people put a comment underneath the video descriptions that they're watching and that they're interested in, I can always do a expansion on the subject through the chitter chatter that we do today on a Sunday. Anyway, I do encourage you to share your own experiences as well. Now, if you're a returning visitor, thank you so very much for being part of my journey. I truly appreciate your support. Anyway, I'm going to get into the chitter chatter first today because I want to share something with you. So, to keep it brief, from an online perspective, it's really easy to make assumptions about a person when we're just reading what they're saying or listening to a few words in an abbreviated context. Now, the reason why I want to talk to this is so that you can hear my tone and so that you can hear my words, and hopefully the message is conveyed across languages. And it's to do with miracles, angels, guides, and ego. And it's basically to help you understand where I sit, my position with who and what I am as far as the information that I share. And this is because it hasn't happened recently, but it has happened in the past where I may have made a comment and somebody might come across saying, oh, you think you know everything, because that's the nature of humans, that we do these kind of things. Oh, you think you know everything. You think you're special because you can do X and Y, or because you claim to do X and Y would be another one. Well, I just want to put this into perspective and say, no, not at all. I don't feel that I am special. I don't believe that I am more special than anybody else. What I have had is some experiences. I will add that very early through my journey, I did actually get an inflated sense of importance, which we would call, from a human perspective, a bit of ego. It didn't last for very long because I feel that my guides and my angels have been really very kind and very generous with me and teaching me lessons very quickly and putting me in situations, sorry about the dog, as part of developing my wisdom. So to put this in perspective, a lot of my journey was not taught through meeting other people and hearing how their experiences went. I was living in remote areas. There just was no access to facilities really, and most of my growth occurred independently after making a conscious decision to develop my gifts. Anyway, so to put this into perspective, I was living in a very remote area of Australia, and I was brought together with a woman through a third party who basically just came to me and held out a piece of paper. I didn't even know this woman. It turned out she was psychic. She saw me walking past a shop and she said, I'm being told I've got to give you this phone number. It's a lady. And she's become very confused. And I'm not going to go into the whole story there, but she was like, you've got to call her. And my immediate response was, I don't want to call her. I don't know her. You know what I mean? Like, why would I want to call a lady I've never known? I can't help her. I'm not anybody amazing or fabulous or anything like that. But either way, we were connected. I did call her because I went and connected with my own inner guidance. So I took that quiet moment and it was like, yep, okay, I've got to call this lady. I don't know what for or why, but I need to call her. Anyway, what had happened was her gifts had blown open overnight. Now, I will admit that this is where the ego aspect comes in, that when I was first connected with her and hearing her story, I thought, she's bats. She's absolutely crazy. I think she's sick. And maybe she just, I'm being guided towards her because I do healing. And perhaps that's my role, is to heal her of her insanity because she believes in angels and that kind of stuff. You can laugh anytime you want because I laugh about it in hindsight. Anyway, I connected with the lady. And at some point in there, she asked me to participate, basically to go partners in a shop that sold things like crystals and this kind of thing, which I was very much into crystals. And I declined because I just didn't feel that I actually knew her long enough to actually want to go into a partnership, and it would have required investing money. Anyway, long story short, I decided to support her. I said to her I wasn't going to invest, but I would support her as much as I could and help her as much as I could. So where the ego comes in, and this was a really huge learning curve for me, she told me that she was going to sell crystals, and I thought, she can't sell crystals. She doesn't know anything about crystals. That poor woman is so deluded. Honestly, this is ego. I'm almost embarrassed to talk about it. This poor woman knows nothing about crystals. I better go over there on her opening day, because people will go into her shop and expect her to be able to give them information about what crystals they need for what health issue, or if they're trying to develop a certain aspect of their personality. I'll pop along and I'll be there for it, which I did. And this is where I learned. I got my universal kick up the backside. So I went over there that day and I hovered around in the background, talking with her, helping her sort of shop out and that kind of stuff. Eventually a customer walked in. And the customer, as I had expected, and another friend that she was with, they were floating around the crystals on the shelves and that kind of thing. And of course, they picked out a handful of them and they went over to the counter where my friend was. And they said to her, I really like these ones, as you do. What ones work for? And they said their health conditions. And I thought, I'm not going to jump in until I'm asked, as you do. And I thought, I'll just stand here and be overt that I'm here if I'm needed. So I kind of stood there waiting to be called, expecting to be called, because I was egotistical. And this woman turns around, my friend, and she sticks a finger in her ear. One finger goes, because this is how she used to channel. And she goes, oh, I don't know. Honesty, right from the get-go. But I'm getting a message, okay? So she sticks a finger in her ear and looks very concentrated for a moment, and then she turns around and she goes, right, I'm getting you've got and what you would benefit from. Basically, she did it all simply through connecting with her own guide. Now, I was mind blown. I thought, this is incredible. What that showed me is that when we can develop our own personalised individual connection to the divine and our guides and angels, we actually don't even need to ask anybody else their thoughts or opinions. We've got that pure and divine connection. So I learned from there. I'm not that special, okay? I'm within the space of these things quite redundant. My focus, my task, and my goal after that was to be able to develop my connection to be this pure connection, this in the same way that my friend had it. I wanted to be able to see spirit, which she could see as clearly as if the human was standing in front of her, and she was able to communicate with them telepathically to the point that it was just incredible is where I'm going. So that's what I wanted. So to put this into perspective, miracle after miracle, blessing after blessing, connection with angels and guides. And when you have that connection, you become humble, because there's always somebody that is far better at doing things than what we might individually be. And this is when we talk about group relationships and being brought together with other people, where it enhances the growth of all parties involved. So 3 of us actually were drawn together. The lady that gave me the phone number in the first instance, the lady that opened the shop, and myself, and we just had so many amazing, incredible experiences together that taught us. Okay, we didn't get our knowledge from a book. We got it from basically working together. You see, I was a questioner and I knew how to ask questions. I also knew how to invoke. So I was able to share that with them. They were able to get the answers and to expand on the information. As a team, we grew together. So that's just something I wanted to share with you. So the content on angels is coming along actually quite swimmingly. I've made a lot of progress and I've done most of the development for all of them now. I think I've got 1 or 2 left to do as far as developing the background, but I've got about 5 videos I've got to put the audio on. So they will be scheduled at the right time, shall we say. So the content on angels. So, for your information, when it comes to the scheduling of the content, what I've done is allowed myself to be guided as to what videos to put up first and where to focus my energy in the first instance. So, this week you will have seen the content go up about the divine plan. Obviously, I'd be very interested in your thoughts, feedback, comments, and all of that kind of thing. But I think that one's really important. And so I understand why I was guided. When I say I was guided, I tend to do like a put it out to the universe and pin the tail on the donkey kind of thing. Let them direct my hand to or my attention to whatever video or angel they want me to put the information up about. Now, that being said, I've decided to jump the queue in regard to scheduling, and I'm adding the content for Cerviel, who is the Angel of Courage, on Monday. And I'm loading this particular video in the time slot that I used to have set aside for numerology, because, of course, we've finished the numerology content for now. But this is, I don't know so much guided or if it's my own personal preference and bias, but the bottom line is Cerviel is an angel of courage, and we need to have courage as part of overcoming our fears. And a lot of people in, when we look around us these days, they're living with fear and anxiety. So I sort of thought, I'm going to bump this one forward, because not only does he help us to work through fear, he helps us to develop strength and resilience as we go through the journey of life. So I consider him to be quite an important angel from that perspective, or his wisdom to be very important. Now, I just want to articulate here as well, before you actually watch the video, and I'm pretty sure it covers that in there, that when it comes to fears, some fears are rational, they're relevant, they're about survival. They're our early warning system to get us out of danger. Other fears are completely irrational, illogical, and they are barriers to us achieving our potential, should we say, and maintaining the divine connection, or even creating it in some instances. But either way, overcoming fear is vital to growth. So anyway, that one, just to reiterate, he's going up on Monday. So the other video going up next week is one, the Angel of Grace, Ananchel, and in this video we talk, or her messages are more about what grace is, what it looks like, and what it means to have it in our life. Now, suffice to say, I'm not going to tell you too much about it, because I think that this is a video that actually really will open up your mind and expand your levels of self-awareness. And this is one of those videos that, through the creation of it, I actually enjoy going back and refreshing, if you like, refreshing my understanding. It becomes, this idea of growth is an ongoing thing. It never ever stops. So anyway, I enjoyed making that video, and this one will be loaded. I think it's on the Friday. It's the second one. So in regard to the colour content, of course, the colour playlist is there. At this point in time, it's just cracking along because I've finished it. It's all scheduled. It just exposes itself at the right time when it's been scheduled on the calendar. But anyway, so to update you, in case you missed it, the orange video went up on Tuesday. And of course, when we talk about the colour orange, we're talking about creativity, we're talking about emotions, we're talking about the sacral chakra. So it actually ties in quite well with Cerviel's content, which of course is being loaded tomorrow. So the Apricot also went up this week, if you missed that one as well. Of course, because of its hues, it actually is associated not only with the orange chakra, but also with the white, if you like, the purity, the purification aspects of that colour. On Tuesday, we've got the colour amber going up. Now, this one's, I find, quite an interesting one. If people want to know more, not so much talking necessarily about the colour of amber, but talking about the properties of the crystal. It's not really crystal because it's resin anyway, but the qualities of physical amber, then let me know, because it actually is very much related to connecting to the wisdom of the ancestors. And of course, people will debate the necessity of this, but from my position, where I sit, is basically our ancestors. The wisdom they impart to us is actually part of our identity, our physiological, personal identity, and it's stored in our cellular memory. But anyway, that would be a conversation for another day. So on Friday, we're going to be talking about the healing powers of the colour gold, okay? Now, I could talk about the colours here right now, but I actually would rather share my experiences of the energy of gold, shall we say, because not everybody has that opportunity where they can hold on to a gold nugget or even a gold bar. It's quite a privilege, really. And I'm very lucky that because of where I live, the country that I live in, the area that I live in, some of the places I've lived in, I've actually been able to hold a gold nugget in my hand, and I've even been able to hold a gold bar before it went off to the mint, okay? So the story being that when it comes to the gold nugget, I was working for a guy that was a gold prospector. He was in the process actually of building his own business, but that's by the by. And what he did was one day he came into work and he said to me, "Close your eyes." And I was like, "Okay, this is interesting," as you do. He said, "Hold your hand out." And he put something in my hand and he said, "Now you can open it." And what he'd done was he actually had put a 2-ounce nugget that he had dug out the ground himself into my hand. Now, the thing is, when I say 2 ounce, was it 2 ounces? I don't know, but it's heavy. It was very heavy. But where I'm going with this is I can understand why people can become gold struck or get gold fever. There is something about the gold rock itself, even if you forget about what the financial value of it is today, that when it goes into your hand, it makes you feel excited. There's something about it that just energizes you and brings forth, a whole heap of laughter. It's really quite a joyous crystal to hold. It definitely would warm the cockles of your heart, and I can understand why it has over the millennia been considered to be the choice of the gods and to have magical qualities. Now, the next time that I managed to have access to gold, by that stage, obviously, it was many years later, and I was working at a gold mine, and I was invited down to the gold room. I was actually able to see what they call a gold pour, where the soil is melted down and they pour the gold into a container, into loaf tins, I would call it. And from there, obviously, you get to see the solid product. Now, to put this into perspective, that was a privilege in itself because you have to have permission to go into a gold pour. I was able to get a photograph of myself, which I lost on my phone, of myself holding a bar. Sorry about that. I was interrupted actually, and I want to try and keep this video short. So if I'm repeating myself, I do apologise. But the bottom line is, years later when I was working in mining and I got into this gold room with the permission, and I was given permission to take a photo of myself holding basically a brick of gold underneath my chin, which had just been, I can't remember the correct word now, it was a long time ago, but basically they melted it down, they put it into the loaf tin, and of course as they're doing the pour, if you've ever worked with a cake or anything like that, you get the drips happen, okay? So where I'm going with this is there was a lot of these little spidery type, web type strings of gold that had fallen over the side of the loaf tin as it was being poured. Now, at the end of it, yes, I did manage to get a photograph of me holding this massive brick under my chin. And when I say massive, it wasn't that massive, but by gosh, it was heavy. It was, in my imagination, I think it was 30 or 45 kilos because it had to go to the Perth Mint in Western Australia. And what they do is they then break it down into smaller size quantities, whatever. Anyway, I'm diverting. But anyway, by the time it was finished pouring, and by the time I had my photograph done, yes, the energy in that gold room was really high. Everybody was buzzing. It was all laughing and laughter, and it wasn't about the money or the financial value, which of course, if you're talking about 45 kilos of gold, if that's what it was, it might have been 22 kilos per brick or something like that. There was about 45 kilos in the room anyway. But the bottom line is we weren't buzzing on a buzzing high because of the material value of this gold. It's because it's so high energy, and it's just so exciting. And I said to the guys after we took the photograph and we're standing there, you go past this whole buzz of energy and excitement and all the rest of it, and then it just goes quiet, as you soak it in and you feel it. And then I said to the guys, "You need to get me out of here right now." And they're like, "Why?" And I said, "Because I'll be busted for theft." I said, "Because I am always accused of, when it comes to crystals, being a bit of a collector, a magpie. I love my crystals. And I said, you've got no idea how tempting it is for me to put my hand out and pick up these spidery threads that look like they're nothing, but obviously have weight and value. And I would have been obviously charged with theft had I decided to pocket those on the way out. But oh, it was so tempting. But that just created more humour. And yes, we got me out of there so that I could save my job and my integrity. So, anyway, that's what gold feels like if you're lucky enough to be around it. So, in regard to the artwork, once again, I'm not putting together reels. This is because I'm using the artwork and I want to keep some of it a surprise for when I um, basically schedule out these angel videos so you can see them for the first time when the angel videos come out. But these are some of the artworks that I created but I haven't actually used, or I haven't planned a use for them. Quotes, I still do, and if there is a specific philosopher or type of quote that you're interested in, as always, I invite you to write down what it is that you want to see. I'm happy to try and accommodate those needs as best I can. So, my friends, that is it for today. As usual, I've given you what I can for today. If there's anything you want to know more about, or if there's a topic you want me to speak about, let me know, leave a comment. In the meantime, I say once again, as always, thank you very much for being part of my journey. I appreciate your contributions, even the fact that you like videos. It warms the cockles of my heart, shall we say. But in the meantime, I'm going to love yous, leave yous, catch on the next video. Take care, have a blessed day, blessed week, and almost you start getting a bit jokey when you start talking about angels and gods. May the force be with you. Be blessed. Have a wonderful week. Bye bye for now.